Hello, seekers. Today, I want to share with you my favorite mystics throughout my life that I've studied and explored their teachings of and why I did it. You're probably a seeker who's always enjoyed studying the writings and the teachings of people that are very spiritually evolved. I know that's where I'm coming from because I've always been wondering, why exactly are we here? What is this experience all about? Why are there humans living on planet Earth? And I just wanted to know answers to the big questions. So when I was in my 20s, I met a man who turned me on to Gurdjieff, George Gurdjieff, the Armenian Russian mystic who was around in the 1940s and 50s. He wrote books like Meetings with Remarkable Men, which is a pretty interesting book. He wrote about Beelzebub. That was another one of his books, but he had a teacher that studied with him that wrote books about his teachings, Ouspensky, and another one named Nicole. In Search of the Miraculous was written by Ouspensky along with some other books. And he was all about what he called doing the work, your inner work, understanding that before you find your center, your inner peace, you might experience what they call the swing of the pendulum. You're high when things are good on the outside and low when they're not so good on the outside. But the reality is it's an inside job. So he teaches you how to do that inner work and get yourself in a place where none of it moves you and you're able to enjoy your life and live here on planet Earth in a state of equanimity. He's one of my favorite teachers. As I moved along, though, and I needed a spiritual healing, I found the teachings of Jesus and Mary Baker Eddy. Jesus was the master teacher and the great example of how you can live your life in that level of consciousness, which is called the Christ consciousness. He became Jesus the Christ. And then Mary Baker Eddy came along in the 1800s and rediscovered that lost element of healing that he was teaching people. And it's a little elusive until you reach a point where you're up against the wall and you've got no other choice. And then, like a piece of coal being made into a diamond, all of a sudden you start to wake up and shine and become illumined, enlightened, because you've found your higher self. You've found that level of consciousness where there are no problems, only solutions. But you need to discipline yourself to go there whenever things come up in this three-dimensional world that need to be addressed because they're pulling you in the other direction. And she, in her teachings and her writings, her book is Science of Health with Key to the Scriptures. She founded a church that went global, Christian Science Church. She has an incredibly famous newspaper, the Christian Science Monitor, that she founded when she was in her late 80s. I mean, this woman was amazing. And I have followed her teachings for years because perfect health is my birthright, is what I was taught and learned in my very being as a result of her teachings. And it serves me very well because I don't have any fear of my body. Even if something goes kind of fluey with it, I realize it started in my thought. If I want to change something, I have to change it in my thought. That's one of the big secrets of the metaphysical teachings of all the masters. It's an inside job. Then I also enjoyed, for many years, reading, and I still like to read the teachings of Ernest Holmes. He was another one who founded a church called Science of Mind years ago. I think they've changed the name of it since, but I always liked the way he taught more about how to change your life experience by changing your thought. And I've moved around a lot in my life because I was a crew member. I think I moved over 35 times so far. I'll probably keep moving for a few more years. And, I've done a lot of different things in my life because I like to check out things. I like to know. My theme song was always What's the truth about what I'm hearing? So as a crew member, I was always not obviously interrogating passengers, but I'd give them a drink and get into a conversation and see how much information, if they were someone worth listening to, I could glean from the conversation. And I learned a lot of fascinating things from people because they like to open up. They like to tell you their secrets, especially if you're good at conversing with them. So I found out that, metaphysics teaches you to look below the surface. That is very important. Don't be superficial. Don't just buy everything that is told to you like it's the truth, because there's usually another side to the story. And truth is universal, but once you find that higher realm of consciousness where there are no problems, you can neutralize the erroneous beliefs that come around you and the people that try to pull you down to their level by realizing that you are in charge, you are sovereign, and you have spiritual power. That's what all these Christian mystics are teaching you, how to claim your sovereignty and your spiritual power. And once you find that, you are unstoppable. That's why you want to study these teachings. There have been many others that I've studied. I joined the Rosicrucians for about 5 years. I studied with them and went to some meetings and found that to be a very interesting teaching too. They claim it goes back to ancient Egypt, that lineage. It had to go underground different times throughout world history because people don't like people knowing how to use their minds in a special way, and they get persecuted. But one of the things I liked about the teachings of the Rosicrucians was when I learned that space is not empty, it's full of energy. Spiritual energy is everywhere. And when you understand that, and you understand that you are the co-creator, what you visualize with your imagination and what you put your attention on is what you're going to manifest in your life. And, the first time I heard that empty space, they call the ether, is not empty at all. It's alive. Everything is alive. Every atom, every creature, every plant, everything is alive in this universe. And that gave me a different perspective. Neville Goddard was another one that I love to study. I love his teachings. He had a wonderful way of delivering his message that his message was basically assume the attitude of your wish fulfilled, meaning assume the attitude that you will have, the feeling that you will have, and claim that and walk around with that until it manifests, because it starts in your inner world. And what you fall asleep thinking about when you're going to sleep at night is what will manifest in your life. If you truly feel like you're living in that. I've done that many, many times in my life. It works very well because we're living in a waking dream. And once we get that and we begin to control our emotional states and the way we think about things, we can do a whole lot with our lives that is different from what is happening if you're just living by default and just letting whatever happens out there have an effect on you. You don't want to live like that. You want to be proactive, not reactionary. When you're just reacting, you're a victim. But when you're proactive, you're aligning yourself with these amazing laws governing the universe, and you become supernatural. And if you want to find out more about what I teach, go to my website, rebeccatripp.com. And you'll see that I wrote a book that came out a few years ago, and I'm working on a new one that'll be out soon. So hope to see you soon.